Kent, welcome back to the show. I was just teasing you before we started that, this is our third recording for this year, our third episode, because you keep bringing really great conversations. This one, though, is very fun. You've talked about AI. This one's kind of funny because you have a really funny story. After we did the Burnout to 200 Days Off episode last December, which is episode 160 for those of you following along at home, is basically how you rebuilt your firm to run without you. And you could take 200 days off and then boom, something happened that allowed you to look at your firm differently. What happened?
Well, it's kind of funny. The funny part is that podcast dropped on Monday, December 1st. And I was all excited because things were going great. As I mentioned in that episode, the firm was going great. We had built this phenomenal team. And then on the day the podcast dropped, I had one employee leave, and then Tuesday, Wednesday. So I had three leave in succession after the Monday that podcast came out. And I don't know, felt a little disingenuous to republish that or post it at the time. I have since reposted it because I've rebuilt significantly and the firm is even on a much, much better trajectory than it was at that time, I have to say. And there's many, many reasons for that.
So what was the vision? I mean, you went from burnout to having 200 days off. Then we lost these 3 or 4 key employees pretty quickly right after the podcast episode. And then you re-envision and kind of recreated what a great practice looked like to you. Talk to me about what that vision is.
Well, it's ironic because at the end of last year, things were going so well. I was meeting a couple of times a month with my practice advisor, Daniel Struna, who has just been just phenomenal. I would never be in the position I'm in today if it wasn't for him and the rest of the Atticus team. But anyway, the question I had told him things are going great. Like, what else are we going to discuss? And he said, "Well, what about the vision? Are you really sure your team understands your vision in terms of what your role is, or like they comfortable leveling up and being part of this vision of you stepping back?" And it turns out really they weren't, because I soon found out, on that Monday that, there wasn't alignment. And so this really, what I considered maybe a failure at the time, was a reset point to really become crystal clear on what my vision is and what my role is. And that led to some really significant changes that I made.
So Ken, after losing 3 to 4 key people, it's pretty tempting that you either said, heck with this, I'm just going to do the work myself, or maybe you fell back to being the bottleneck again. What did you re-envision? What was your new vision? What did you decide to do?
Well, after going through a range of emotions, from like, why am I doing this anymore, to which passed, which passed very, very quickly, I decided I really needed to get clear on what I was good at and what I was doing well and what not. And so I started with hiring a fractional CEO, a local woman, Amanda Thomas. She has a company called the Fractionals, and it was really important to have somebody local that could be here in the office to really help me figure out, what I needed. And that led, to some additional changes. But the vision is that my role needs to be out of the hiring, the quarterly reviews, compensation review, a lot of the HR management. Like, I need to stay in my lane, practice law, do marketing, mentorship and training, and technology. And everything else I need to just let other people run with. And that's what I'm trying to do.
Got it. So in your case, you're like, I'm the chief legal officer. I need to practice law. I need to coach and train up other attorneys in the firm. I need to support us on cases, and I need to market. But I don't need to manage an up-level team and manage personnel. Is that basically what you're saying?
Yeah, to get very clear, there's a prior podcast episode or more on the leader of the firm getting very clear. Do you want to be a CEO of the firm? Do you want to practice law? Is it 50-50? Whatever the case might be. And I got really granular in terms of the tasks that I wanted to be involved in and things that I could help really propel the firm forward, and stay out of the other things that in reality were holding me back.
Got it. So the CEO was a fractional. So how many hours a month are they working for you?
She's in the office 1 day a week, and then various other emails and meetings and things like that as necessary. And then we've had some workshops. We've had 3 workshops. So there's a variety of other things.
So how does she describe her role with your firm?
She is an employee advocate. She's kind of, if you look at it top down, whatever, she is looking at it from the employee's perspective and what their, the value is in the eye of the beholder, whatever that saying is that she's trying to look at it from the employee's perspective to make sure we are not making controllable mistakes that would allow an employee who is in the right seat and all that to continue with the firm. So there isn't any unnecessary disruptions. And so that we can methodically, strategically, and sustainably build the team.
I like sustainably. So you've also hired other fractional share leaders in the firm.
Yeah. So, in order to free up the time internally so that our operational person can actually focus on operations and driving productivity and efficiency and technology, we decided to outsource, and this is probably way too late, a fractional CFO that's handling all of the bookkeeping and basically all the financial management, three-way reconciliation and all the day-to-day things that you need to take care of with payroll reports. And a lot of it is automated, but you still need human oversight with all that.
And how much time are we spending with that person monthly?
I think they're on maybe 10 or 20 hours a month is what the target is. That's a fractional service as well, but he's local.
So both people are local. Both people come in the office. Both people are interacting with you both via email, I would imagine via Teams or Zoom, and also coming to the office part time.
Yeah, I mean, the CEO started with a really deep dive, a full assessment and download of what was going on, the recent history on some of the things that maybe weren't working right, what the learning opportunities, were. And in the meantime, and this is part of the just the saying that things happen for a reason. The departures opened up the possibility to hire some really highly experienced people that just came out of the woodwork and referred and has allowed us to really grow and hit the next level of ability to handle complicated, involved, high stakes probate litigation. So, you know,
I like the term learning opportunity. That would be commonly called a mistake in my world. So I like that, a learning opportunity. When you hire the CEO in particular, what did you learn? Like, what were some of the things that you're like, oh my gosh, I wish I'd known that before? Or what were some of the insights or learning opportunities the CEO pointed out to you?
well, Daniel had really given me a lot of insight into things on where I should go with it. So when I finally decided to hire her, I had a pretty good idea in terms of what I wanted my role to be, but she helped me clarify that and also to continue to communicate that to the team to make sure that they understood what they were getting into. And some of the more recent strategic hires that we've been so lucky to get, that was part of the discussion during the hiring process, which I don't think it was, prior.
Could you give me a specific example, something like that that would be a normal Kent thing that now becomes a CEO thing?
Hiring, hiring.
Hiring.
So she was instrumental in hiring the next, probably the most important person, which is a full-time in-house professional director of operations. Uh, the most recent person that we lost was a really great person who helped our firm level up in so many ways over so many years. Christine, our office manager, was with me 24 years, and she progressed from being a receptionist, having no legal experience at all, to being our office manager, but she still didn't have the professional operational experience with the correct disc report and all disc profile and all that to be able to do what I needed to do. And so just a week and a half ago, we hired a full-time director of operations that Amanda, our CEO, helped us with Build Migrate team, doing all the initial hiring and screening. Rose and Laura do a phenomenal job for all of our hiring. So they found the director of operations, Beatrice, who we hired, and Amanda did like 80% of the interviewing and hiring and effort that led to this hire. So that is a really, high impact thing that the CEO helped me do.
That's fantastic. So, simple question: what role do you see the COO playing in your firm, director of operations playing in your firm?
Well, I have a million ideas of improvements in operational issues, technology wise. We could improve our CRM. There's a lot more we could be doing to make our employees' lives easier. I recently read the book All In by Mike Michalowicz and trying to really drive home those principles. But I can't do it. If a client case comes up or I have a speaking engagement where I can go market to 30 or 50 people, like I'm going to do that. I'm not going to be meeting quarterly with employees or even, weekly to put people on a ramp to success or whatever we need to do. I need somebody that full time can be in people's offices and be in their faces, reporting the metrics, getting them the new matters if they need work, all of the stuff that drives operational success, making sure that all of the systems and training that we've implemented are actually being followed, that we're looking for new opportunities to improve on all that, to do better yet again.
Makes perfect sense. What did you learn through this process? What type of learning opportunities did you have?
It's something that Atticus has driven home like in every which way possible. And that is like really define your role and try to, kill the hero as much as you can. Like, as an owner of a business, you need and want to be involved to whatever level that you should or want to be successful. But at some point, you're going to have a decision if you want to grow to pick a lane because you can't do everything. I tried it, and it took me maybe way too long to figure that out. But it's never too late. Never too late.
I have a simple way for anyone who's listening to this in the audience. I'll just say my simple way about this, Kent, and you give me your feedback on it. I try and tell lawyers, do you want to manage or do you want to make money? And most law firms, when we're dealing with an owner, a senior attorney who's been practicing for a while, they're worth a lot per hour. But when we have them managing, they're not worth as much economically to the firm. So I have a lot of lawyers that spend time trying to manage, which they're terrible at. Just terrible. I'm a terrible manager. Right? There's no question. Like, there's no
It-
question.
yeah. And this is one of the things too that Amanda, the CEO, has helped me with is onboarding the director of operations, making sure she had a clearly defined role and she was supported as part of the onboarding and ramp to success, but also as part of the hiring is making sure it's a good fit. Like, my personality, I'm a 100 on the D scale. Like I have a perfect score for the D. Okay. So I'm very results driven. I want to move very quickly to the next point. I want to let somebody else worry about the details of what the disadvantages are and what the holes are that we need to plug. And that interviewing process took that into account to make sure that this director of operations is going to, be able to get along with me and drive the firm in a way that is going to help me live the great life and continue to build the great practice that we're shooting for me and the rest of the firm.
Hi, I'm going to briefly interrupt the conversation with an exciting announcement. You became a lawyer to make a difference, serve clients, and build your own law firm. But when every client question, team decision, and financial concern lands on your desk, the firm starts running you. And working harder only makes you more essential to the chaos. The Great Practice Breakthrough is designed to change that. The event is on September 18th in Orlando. You'll build a practical plan to reclaim your time, strengthen your team, improve profitability, and create a firm that can operate without your constant involvement. Then 30 days later, you'll get a live follow-up session that will help you overcome obstacles and keep moving forward. Register before August 15th to save $300 and use code podcast100 for another $100 off. Your firm should support your life, not consume it. Reserve your seat using the link in the show notes. Now back to the episode. It's fascinating. So a couple of years ago, you were trying to get out. Now you're actually building a legacy firm. So it's fascinating. A couple of year transition or transformation for you.
My perspective has changed. Like if I could get to the year like last year of 200 days off, like what reason could I give? Like it's
Yeah, this is a common wonderful transformation that we see on a regular basis where somebody comes in the Atticus community. They're like, get me out, just get me out of my practice. Then they start fixing the practice. They start getting the practice so it works. They start taking time off. And then they're like, how far can I go with this? How long can I make this work? So it's really cool to listen to you because your whole attitude, your whole confidence level about the future, everything's really changed during the time period I've known you. It's really fascinating to watch. All wonderful to watch. Here's my next question for you. How did you help protect the team, or how did your CEO protect the team and, clients during this transition of bringing on a director of operations?
Well, when the office manager left, she gave us 2 weeks notice and we were able to, she was very helpful and professional in helping, document what we needed to be able to proceed. And we had some others. Luckily, we have a phenomenal staff of 3 paralegals and a intake person, receptionist that absorbed various of the duties. The CEO took some things, I took some things to ease the transition, and everybody was very helpful. But it started with open communication of what the needs were. No client matters were disrupted in any way. There was some slight delay in billing, I think 1 month, while the new billing person got up to speed and figured some things out. But the second billing cycle, it was done in 1 day. So it's been relatively seamless, and the CEO has been great in making the hire of the director of operations seamless. It's only been like 10 days and she's checking stuff off the list already. And, so it's really, really, really great.
Fantastic. What do you think your next fractional share hire will be?
Well, I have been trying to be sort of a chief technology officer, done a lot with AI, as everybody knows from the AI episode, as well as the Grow Your Practice with AI sessions that I've taught. But I'm trying to be a chief technology officer to the firm, and it's biting off more than I can chew in terms of regular interfacing with the employees and how they're using AI, how they should not be using AI, workflows, all that kind of thing. I'm good at tinkering and figuring out how to do stuff, but accountability and supervision, like I just said, is not my strong suit. So I feel like either our director of operations is going to need to drive that, or we need someone in house, or at least on a fractional basis, to drive technology, AI training properly, prudently, all that.
I like the idea of a fractional share CTO. I really like that a lot. Why did you go with fractional share? Was it just economics? Was it just, hey, I'm not big enough to bring on full time? Or was it a test? What was your thinking behind it?
Yeah, I mean, we're a firm of about 10 employees, give or take, depending. And I don't think we could afford, what an actual professional CEO would want to charge. I did interview some other like national CEO firms, and there's a variety of services out there depending. Like if you're a brand new firm that you're 5 lawyers from a big firm leaving, there's some phenomenal services for fractional services where you could have a legit virtual firm up and running in no time, like a week with these fractional services. It costs money. And so it has to be a good fit for what you need. And I didn't need that. we have systems. My employees would kill me if I got rid of all the technology we had and had to go with the technology that these other companies have. But it was, really getting, granular on what I needed. And it's operational. I need people in the office interfacing with my employees because I'm not reading it correctly. Like I don't have a good understanding on what it takes and what the pulse is of what's going on with people.
It makes perfect sense. What do you see next for you and your firm?
Just building on what we've started now with this leveling up and growth of bringing in actual professionals to run the different components of the firm. I think we're just on the cusp, and we're already seeing the results. And, I've been working with the CEO only for it was like 5 months, and she's really, really helped us with productivity, continuing to build systems, hiring. So it's all coming together for the next level of growth and sustainability.
If you were to give a lawyer who's listening to this episode advice on what to look for on a fractional share CEO or CTO or CFO or even an operation director of operations, what would you say? What would be some of the key elements that you'd look for?
Well, experience is certainly important, but I would say true fit with your firm and what the tasks are that you expect. If it's somebody that's going to be driving productivity, it needs to be someone with the right disc profile, communication approaches, the right methodology and tools and comfort level to have those difficult conversations. And once you have the right people on the team that know what the expectations and the key performance criteria are, it really isn't that difficult. If you talk to a true operational person, they'll say, well, we have the metrics, we have the reports, and they show what they show. So it's an easy conversation. So, it's easier, I guess, for some than others, but you need to have the right person depending on what you want to do for your firm, whether it's practicing law or managing or marketing or whatever the case might be.
It's interesting because the first thing that you mentioned, I hope everybody caught it, was putting the wind at your back by appreciating your own disc profile and understanding what your disc profile means to you and means to the firm as far as operational goes. So if you're a Atticus member or if you're checking Atticus out, one of the great places to start is either a practice growth diagnostic with the company. If you're an existing member, talk to your member advisor or your practice advisor about your disc profile and what that means on how you operate your firm. If you listen to Kent, 100% D, which I'm just going to tell you, there's other people who have 100% Ds who will basically try and compete with you on which one's higher, like who's 100% is actually higher, because that's what high Ds do. They compete with each other. So I actually, it's actually funny to watch. But that being said, the understanding of your profile, then building a team around your profile is a critical element. You also built in KPIs. I work with Daniel, who's a fantastic practice advisor. Daniel is just terrific. The key performance indicators allow your operations director to really understand workflow and scorecards. Do you think if you don't have KPIs and you don't have scorecards, hiring an operations director is premature, or would you still say go for it?
Oh, I would say maybe it's even more important to hire a director of operations because you need somebody, if you haven't done it already, to set KPIs. And more importantly, though, set the KPIs and train your team on what it's going to take to achieve those KPIs. It's not just, oh, here's what I want you to do. Make sure they have the tools, the technology, training, everything it takes, equipment, whatever, to make sure that those KPIs can be achieved. So, like, there's a lot to unpack in terms of depending on what the role is, what the KPIs are, and what they may need to fulfill them. All of that needs to be evaluated, and it's a lot. So that's why probably hiring a director of operations should come first.
I like it. I like it. Ken, as we start to wrap up, any other recommendations you'd make to our audience?
I would say a key component to making this work is communication with your team. Like I was very transparent on like what worked, what didn't, what I thought was working when I had the series of departures. And, it was very frustrating. Like I had one person cry, at a meeting when we're discussing, we just had three people leave and we just thought we're finishing the best year ever in the firm's, 29-year history at the time. And so there's a lot to manage. And I'd say with any, I'll still say it's a learning opportunity. Maybe it's a failure because I say it's a learning opportunity because I would not be in the position I am today, which is better, I would say, if you had to rate than when I was in December. So it's a learning opportunity. And so explaining that, hey, it happened and like we could just close the firm and just give up, but that's not what has sustained us over 30 years, and we're going to rebuild. I'm going to go out when I go out and retire on my terms, not because we had three people quit. And so let's regroup and figure it out. And part of that was me recognizing I sucked at a lot of stuff that we needed to outsource.
I don't think I could say it better myself. So let's talk about this just briefly for a second as we wrap up. Um, the genius of appreciating what you're really great at and then delegating everything else but what you're genius at is in itself wisdom beyond, just wisdom. The second thing is that learning opportunities, every time I've lost a team member, I usually tell my wife, an opportunity for an upgrade. Because when you start to have a learning opportunity, you take an opportunity to take a step back and just learn from it. Like, what can I do better this time? And how can I upgrade? So you've upgraded some key leadership roles that are with professionals to reduce the amount of wear and tear on you. So we actually probably going to have increased productivity, increased profitability from you, which is critical because at this point in your career, you're worth a lot in the marketplace. So it's absolutely critical to maximize your potential. So you either can make money or you can manage. You can't do both most of the time. Great.
Exactly. And I'd say the perspective is when somebody quits, you look at it from the perspective, I didn't lose an employee. I get to replace that employee, or maybe with two employees, whatever. But for that departure, maybe you didn't have that opportunity or wouldn't have taken it.
You probably wouldn't have an opportunity for an upgrade because once that person's in that spot and they're doing a decent job, you just kind of get used to them. You don't think about upgrading that role. Whereas some people, sometimes I think they're raising their hand to have them upgraded, so to speak. But that's a whole other conversation for another episode. All right, my friend, anything else that you want to say to wrap up for today?
I just say if you're having the types of frustrations that you're doing things that you don't like, running parts of the firm that aren't running well, human resources, technology, whatever, there are people that you can find that will help you and eliminate those frustrations and focus on the things that you like doing and you're good at. The sooner the better. And say, like one of the learning things is like, I wish I would have done it a long time ago because it kind of seems obvious now.
The great thing about you is that you work hard and you're coachable. One of the greatest challenges I have had in my career is I'll share a concept with somebody and they'll basically explain to me why it won't work before they try it. So those are my favorite types of clients, slow learners with cash. Let me explain to you why this won't work. I'm like, okay, well, do you want to try it first? No, it just won't work. Why do you know it won't work? We've been doing this for like 35 years. We've seen this before. No, it just won't work. Okay. Meaning you won't work, which is a radically different perspective, right? All right. With that, everybody, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being part of our great practice and great life. And Kent, as always, thank you, buddy. I appreciate you being here.
You're very welcome. My pleasure. Thank you and Daniel Struna, the whole Atticus team for everything you've done for me and my firm. Thank you.
Thanks for joining this week's episode of Great Practice, Great Life. Please tune in weekly to get the next episode. If you enjoyed the episode, please subscribe, like, and don't hesitate to share it with a friend who you think this episode can help. With that, thanks, and I hope you enjoy next week's episode.